Hi, I'm Tom Migot from Tom Migot Photography. I'm taking you with me today on another journey where we're going to visit the Devil's Pulpit. It's a gorge not far from Glasgow. It's pretty much between Glasgow and Stirling, and it's about an hour and 15 minutes drive from where I am at the moment. I'm just entering Falkirk, which is northwest of Edinburgh. And if you remember, before Christmas, I did a video about a GPS unit from Canon GPE2. Well, since that video, I received a video from Marrex, and here it is. They have their own GPS unit, and they asked me if I could actually do a review. Well, this one is the MX G10M Mark II. Even have an LCD screen on it. Well, I'm going to talk to you more about this once we arrive at the Devil's Pulpit. I look forward to visiting that place. Maybe it's a little bit spooky, so we'll see. So I'll talk to you once we get there. It's going to be immediately for you guys, but for me it's about an hour, 15 minutes. I'll talk to you there. Ciao. Okay guys, so we just arrived, and as you can see, this is quite remarkable. I just feel like being in another planet. No idea we're in Scotland here. It's really amazing, really amazing. All right guys, as you see, I didn't put my smoking on today. No tuxedo for me today. I didn't even take the boots, the wellies. No, I took my trout fishing waders. Why? Because we're gonna go up the river. I hope I'm gonna get something compelling at the end of that corner. You come with me? Let's go check it out. Alright guys, so I managed to cross this river. I'm glad I took my waders today because it was pretty cold water and pretty high. So before I try to take some photograph, let me talk to you about the Marrex GPS. This is the MX G10M Mark II. In terms of size, it's similar to the GPE2 from Canon. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is it. The only difference will be around the hot shoe. The Canon one has a metal hot shoe and the locking mechanism similar to your Canon Speedlight, whereas the Marrex, it's just a plastic clip. It holds very, very good, I must admit. But given that it's not a metal hot shoe, it means that you will need to use cable to communicate with your camera. And that's the reason why we have two ports here. We've got two USB ports, one for the camera, which is here, which is the mini USB, and this one is the micro USB to charge it. Why charging it? Well, because there is no battery compartment here, as you can see. It's fully integrated, which means that you actually need to charge it before using it. It takes about 4 hours to fully charge it, and it will last you about 5 to 7 hours, depending on what you do with it. You could, if you activate the trace, which is the trace log, that would actually suck your battery more, but it will last, I would say, 6 hours. If you're not using the trace log, then in that case, it could last you several days. They're talking about thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of GPS points picked up. You can even use a sleeping feature of it. There is an LCD screen, unlike the Canon GPE2, which you guys might not be able to see here, although I lit it up by pressing the button. Let me walk you through the features that we have. Well, we have the time, obviously, which is a nice feature if you don't have one. Then it has the date, right? Then the latitude, the longitude, the altitude as well, just like the GPE2. That's interesting. So here it says 53.8 meters. And then the direction. So obviously, when you have it on your sitting on your camera here, it will detect the direction you're shooting into, and it will record this in your picture. So then the next feature will be that is telling us that we are in a two-dimension world. If we were 3D, we could have the altitude. It did say the altitude before, so I'm not quite sure why it says that we were in two-dimension here. Maybe because I'm holding it and blocking some signal. It does say here that we are in the London time zone. You could change that, but bear in mind that if you actually change this, do not believe that this is that will affect the time recorded in your in the picture. The picture will always have the time written in UTC, but the value could come from the GPS unit nonetheless. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I quite like the screen, to be honest. It's useful to set things up, and you can change settings. In terms of the trace log, I will show it to you in a second when we go in the menu. Let me clip this onto the camera. As I said, we need to use the USB cable, so I'm using this one, which is not the one that came with it because I actually lost the one that was included. So I'm plugging this at the front like this, and here to the camera. So if I can, it's not that easy because of my tripod plate. Okay, let's go in the menu now. Now I hope you can see the menu. It's not straight, but at least you should be able to see it. Here, this is my private menu, which I've already configured to have the GPS device settings in there. So I just go in it, and here's exactly the same one that you find when you use the Canon GPS. It's the same thing. Bear in mind, here I'm showing it on a Canon, but this Marrex GPS exists for Nikon as well. The reference, I believe, is MX G10M Mark II. So here, in terms of the settings, if you click here, just auto update for the time, that works fair enough, get it from the satellite. Then the update for the position, so this is how often your GPS will communicate, will ping the satellite. No matter which value you put there, it will always be 5 seconds. Even if here it says 10 seconds, it will only be 5 seconds because this is what the limit is on this GPS unit. It's fixed. Then the digital compass, you know what it is. This is how we get the direction. And then we have calibrate. I've already done that just before starting this video to not waste any time. And let's go to the GPS information display. So here we can see the latitude, the longitude, the elevation, the direction, the time in UTC. But and then the satellite reception saying there's 2 bars out of 3, and we are in a 3D mode. So it works now exactly the same as with the Canon GPE2 or any other device that would be compatible with your camera. I showed that to you already when you actually go to the live menu. It's blurred, but it doesn't matter. Let me just bring the info on. You can see here we have a little GPS info, and let me just take a quick shot. It's going to be 1 second. It's going to be blurred. It's going to be the most beautiful photograph I've ever done, as you can see. But let's look at the information one more time, and here we can see we've got the longitude, latitude, as well as the elevation of 50 meters and the direction of west 250 degrees and the time. And that's basically it. It's a very useful tool, and it's not the same price as the Canon. So where the Canon is several £100, this one is barely £80. Is it worth it to buy it over the Canon one? Well, definitely. If you're on the budget, I would say absolutely. Do I regret buying the GPS from Canon? No. Why? Because, you see, the Canon one has, it's kind of weather resistant. So I wouldn't say it was waterproof, but it's weather resistant. So it has a clip here and the rubber protection, which means that if I'm going to shoot, and you saw my video, and if you haven't, just click on the link right now where I reviewed this GPS unit. It was pouring rain like crazy. And I didn't care. I really didn't care. So I wouldn't do this with a Marrex simply because there is a cable, and therefore the ports are actually not protected. And same for the 5D Mark III. Here my rubbers are up, and so I wouldn't trust under the rain. So that would be a major drawback if you live in Scotland, for example, and you'd like to shoot no matter what the weather is. The other thing as well for me is I don't like to have the idea to carry with me a battery pack like this one. And it did happen that before I did run out of battery at some point. But it's my fault because I didn't recharge it. And the reason why I didn't recharge it is because I'm used to the Canon GPE2, where I just simply open and put a new battery in, a AA. So to me, those are the only two things that really make a difference between the Canon and the Marrex. But, it's not a cheap GPS either. I mean, it's cheap, but it's not cheaply made, the Marrex one. So for £80, I would say it's definitely worth it. It's better than actually using your mobile phone to collect the GPS trace and then go in Lightroom and follow the procedure that I've explained in a previous video. So this is it for the Marrex. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to make photographs, go afterwards at home once I've developed them, and explain you the settings. Okay, so the first thing that I always do when I go on a scene that I actually do not know is try to figure out the right angle. So right now I'm just going to work the angle. I don't even take my tripod. Do not take your tripod. As soon as you put a tripod somewhere with you, 90% of the time it will stay where you are. So that's why you see me with no tripod right now. And I'm just going to try to figure out an angle. I don't want to go too deep now without a tripod because I don't want to fall and drop my camera. So I'm just going to work out and figure out if the scene works. It's actually quite interesting. And I know that if I actually go further behind, then I'll have the water going to it. Okay, so I've got my angle, I've got my tripod in the right place, I've positioned my camera. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring the filters and try to be creative with what I have. So if you're wondering what I'm holding in my hand, this is actually my new Lee filter holder. It's actually a lens hood, and I've just upgraded my simple Lee filter holder kit by this lens hood. I'll do a full review of it once I've had experience with it. Right now, I've just had it for a few days. I'm a little bit showing off, that's what I'm doing, but I'm practicing with it. And then I've got a new filter pouch as well from Lee Filter. I'll talk to you more about this in another video. So I've already have my Horizon filter on the lens hood right there. And this is crucial when you're taking water. simply because of the light reflection on it. Okay, so here I've just added a neutral graduated filter just for the bottom, because here there's a lot of movement. It's pretty bright, so it's about it's 3 stops of light down and the polarizing filter. That's all I did, and it's actually not bad. Look at here. Obviously, you'll see the developed photos once we get back to the office. It's really beautiful, but I have no idea if I'm actually going to come over here with a camera and take a shot safely. So I've got to think about it a little bit. Okay, so by going there before, I know that I cannot do anything with a 24mm. So I'm actually going to try to do something with a 70-200. That should work much better. So obviously the biggest challenge here is to not drop everything myself, but more importantly, the camera and the lens into the river. Let's go see. Wish me luck. Well, you say you got to think before you do, right? I've just forgot the adapting ring to actually put the filter holder on it. So I've got to cross again. Hey, well, that's live. All right, so what I'm actually doing now is I'm trying different exposures. I've got the right angle. I'm using the polarizing filter for a little bit of the flare. To be honest, there is actually not much flare that I can remove with the polarizing filter, given the sun direction going straight into me, which is fine. I like that light coming into me because it lit that corridor there, which you will see in the photograph. But what I'm doing here is trying to find different exposures to see how fast or slow I want to be in that picture. And also I need to crank up the ISO, right? So I'm currently at 800 ISO for a shutter speed of 1/25 of a second, and that is opening the aperture at 5.6. And 5.6 is okay. I've checked the depth of field. It works great for me for where I want. Thankfully, because the water, we don't need much focus there. But I need to see exactly how fast I can actually go or how slow I can actually go. So now it's really creative. So this is the last shot of the day, guys. I'll see you in the house in a second for you. All right, so we're back in the office. I hope you enjoyed the first part of the video, and as you discovered at the same time as I did, this fantastic place that is the Devil's Pulpit here in Scotland. Remarkable place, really love it. So we are obviously going to review the photographs that I've taken there, but first let's talk about the trace that I got from the Marrex GPS unit. You remember the GPS unit is this one, I mentioned it. I had activated the log, the trace, which is basically communicating with the satellite every 5 seconds. And I had done exactly the same thing with the GPE2 from Canon, which I had set up at 5-second interval as well. So let's go in Google Earth, and this is the trace. Basically the red is Marrex, the blue is Canon. If you're wondering what is going on right here, this is Canon, the blue one, and it's probably because the Canon was actually not calibrated at the beginning when I left the house. So that's probably why it went jamming all over the place. As for the red here, it's on my way back to the Devil's Pulpit, probably ran out of battery, and then when I turned it back on in the house, plugging it to the computer, it detected it as well on the same day. So that's the reason why I've got a straight line, sorry, covering the last spot to the next one. But let's look at the trace itself around where we were. So to be fair, I looked at the traces and they look pretty identical to me. Yes, we could say that the blue of Canon here is more on the road than the red of Marrex, and there are places that support this. However, we can see here that Canon is in the field, like over here as well as in the field. So it really depends, and to be honest, at that level I could not say whether the Canon GPS unit is more precise than the Marrex one. The two of them are good as far as I'm concerned. They're quite identical. With regard to the mayhem here, that is basically as I was calibrating the device as well as being in the gorge in that canyon, I suspect that the communication with the satellite is not that great because of the wall of the cliff. So that's probably what would explain what's going on here. But overall, fantastic GPS unit. You've seen in the blog article where I posted a few pictures of the device as well as a map of all the functionalities. It is, I believe, a bargain. £80 for a GPS unit that does exactly what a Canon does, with the exception of the few caveats, that I did mention in the video. I would say this is a fantastic acquisition if you have the budget for it. But this is a cheap GPS unit that is not cheaply made. This would definitely be my conclusion of this MX G10M Mark II. There is the Nikon version, don't forget about it, is the G20M Mark II, and it has the same functionalities. So let's talk about photograph now. So going to Lightroom, the very first photograph I want to show you is actually not a photograph you saw me capturing, simply because it's a photograph that will maybe explain a mystery that you may have seen at the very end of the first part of this video, when you saw me leaving the place with somebody on my back. Well, here is the photograph. That somebody is no one else but my dad, Tom Migot. He came with me. He was on holiday at my house during that time, and for the very first time he accompanied me on location during my photography experience and during my video recording. And so at the beginning he was actually standing on the other side of the Devil's Pulpit, where exactly when you go down at the bottom of the steps. The surprise was that the water level was much higher than I had anticipated, and he was wearing my whaley boots where I was wearing the waders, and I honestly thought that it would be enough, but the water was so high that there was no way for him to cross. So I left him hanging hanging there at the bottom of the steps for a little while, until I just decided to go back and say, hey, I'm just going to carry you over the other side, which I did, and yeah, it was a little bit heavy. We almost fell in the water. Did not happen. Would have been fun though, nice memory, but it didn't happen. And the reason why I took this photograph here is simply because I was shooting this angle, as you saw in the video, but because the tilt shift 24mm from Canon is purely manual, I was struggling to set the focus correctly because there was too much water, so I could not actually see a fixed point to do the focus. So I've asked him to actually stand there on that rock, and he helped me with the focus, and then I captured this this unique moment. So that's the picture here. So let's look at two photographs that I believe are the best of that day. I am not going to walk you through the development of those two images, and I'm going to explain you why in a second. I really like them, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with them as far as I'm concerned. The exposure is good, the angle is good, it's all right. The problem that I have with those is purely due to the water. There was too much water for me. It's just my take on it. And because there was so much water, we don't see as much the rocks underneath as much as I wanted to. The flow of water is covering too much the rocks, and that's what bugs me on it. So what I did is several weeks later, after the recording of that first part that you've just seen, I've actually came back and I took two other photographs captured from the same angle as I did in the video, and I hope you can recognize the location. But what you could spot right away is the water level. That is clearly not the same. And to me, that makes a hell of a difference, especially with that rock being the reddish tone that we have. And you notice that this first image, I've actually decided to go for a horizontal orientation. And the reason I did this is simply because there was less water, then I was able to actually capture a corridor of water, a stream right here, kind of a diagonal. And it made more sense for me to frame this as an horizontal, as well as having all this space here at the front and showing the little ripple that we have here with the water. So that's the reason why I did it. And you can also see that it was quite cold that day, and I could see the stalactite going here. So that was quite interesting. So let me walk you through the development of this particular photograph. So, what did I do with this? Well, not much, to be honest. The first thing that I did was changing the crop. Let me show you the original crop. Here it is. Why did I crop it? Well, I cropped it because I felt that there was a little bit too much information at the bottom. And because I cropped the bottom, I had to crop on the side as well to keep the same 2/3 ratio that is native of the 5D Mark III. And I wanted to keep the corridor here at the cross line of the rule of third. So that's the reason why I decided to just center it this way, and I think it works pretty well as far as I'm concerned. Then the next thing that I've done is really not much. It's to do with the brush, the adjustment brush, and you will see it is just here, just over here. It's basically the water was making something pretty white, and so I decided to just bring the highlights down as well as the whites. So both of them went down to -100. That's all I did with the brush. The next action was done with the graduated filter. And what I did is right here, I just wanted to darken a little bit that part of the image, especially because of the white over here, and it helped me balance the whole image better. So what I did is just simply bring the highlights down and reduce the exposure of the by a little bit more than 1/3, so really not much. And finally, the last thing that I did was increasing my exposure a little bit, but not even 1/3, so it's really not much, but giving me a little bit more light in the overall image. And the final step, as usual, is in the detail panel and adding some sharpening, to selective sharpening using the masking in this photograph. And I'm quite pleased with the result. The next photograph is the cascade. So we're going to see it in a second. here it is. Let me bring up the full screen. So I really like this. As you can see, we have a lot less water than when I shot the video. You can see we can see the rocks through the water. I like the fact that we can actually see the strays of water. We can really see the volume, the dimension of those rocks there, and the volume and the relief. So I really like this shot. So what did I do to it? Well, let's go to the develop module. Here we are. The initial image was like this. And I liked it, don't get me wrong, I like it. It looks great on the screen. However, I did feel that it was a little bit too dark at first, you know, on this foreground here. So if I show you the last version, what I did is really not much. Here, basically, I pulled the shadows. So I pulled the shadows up to 100. And because it wasn't enough, I actually brought the blacks up by +23. And that gave me more detail in the rock at the foreground. Then the next action that I did was with a brush. And that wasn't much either, because you see, it's right here, you're seeing the red parts here showing. Let me just highlight this. Simply because there was a little bit too many highlights, some warnings showing up there. So I just decided to tone it down a little bit with the highlights with -62. Finally, there was a little bit of graduated filter just in this corner here, just to darken this corner. I never like corners that are too bright. And it wasn't too bright. I mean, it wasn't much brighter. It was just a little bit too bright for me. So I just brought down the highlights. That's it. And the exposure by not even a third of a stop. So that's nothing at all. And this is what we obtain. So if I bring them back together again, I really like those two photographs. They really work for me much more than what I captured on the day of the video recording. And the outcome of this is this. So I've actually printed this and mounted it, and I'm very pleased with it. You can see I have to basically move the picture slightly so you have better light falling onto it. But the colors were rendered really amazingly on this paper. A beautiful photograph rendering there. And of course, I did the same with the other picture. So here it is. I'm very pleased with it. So the reason why I'm showing you those two photographs, those printed mounted photographs, is because I've got fantastic news to share with you. Something that I've been working for several months now. You know that I've been deep into printing over the past 6 months now, and I'm about to start a new series for you guys on printing. We're going to talk about color space, gamut, soft proofing. We're going to talk about printer. We're going to talk about paper. We're going to talk about mounting photograph, framing, cutting glass, even stretching canvas. And I'm not going to do that alone. I'm going to do it with a gallery that is nearby, as well as a framing company. So we're going to do this for you guys without any restraint, and I really look forward to kick that off. But for the time being, my biggest news of all is that I've actually launched my shop on tommigotphotography.com. You can find it here as the new menu, the gallery shop. So when you click on it, you have some text explaining you the highlights of what I do, what I use. And if you click here, you can access the mounted photograph. So I only sell, all the photographs that I sell are already mounted. I do not sell prints like many photographers do, just sending you prints in a tube box. No, I mount them, I sign them, and they're all limited edition. They have only 10 copies. Only 10 copies, no more than that. And as you can see, all of them for now are all on sale. So there's more than 50% discount on the price that you see today. And if you spend more than £100, well, the shipping worldwide is free. So take advantage of this. Let me know under the video as well as under the blog article what you think of those two photographs, as well as the shop, if you like it, if you're interested in acquiring some of my work. And that's basically it. I've also released another video today. I haven't done much communication about it. If you subscribe to tommigotphotography.com, you have been informed. But you can find anyway that video in the blog. It's about native ISO. Well, until next time, this is Tom Migot saying, if you like it, well, capture it. Ciao.